Hi, my name is Anna Fogarty, and for my freshman English class at Clemson University, we have to compare our composition writing styles to something. And the first thing that popped into my mind when I thought about how I compose my work when I write is a tree. And so I'm going to explain how exactly that works because that seems a little weird. So first of all, the first concept that I thought of was time, because it takes time for a tree to grow, and sometimes it's slow about developing, just like a good writing process is. A tree also changes throughout the seasons. It changes its leaves, its colors, its size, and many things, but the main concept of the tree stays the same. It stays in the same place, and the idea itself stays the same. So this is much like a writing process because your work goes through many revisions and changes before it's finally done. The more revisions and time, the more strong and sturdy and solid your writing will become, just like a tree. So then I thought about the parts of the tree, and the first thing is the trunk. So the trunk represents the main idea of your work and the tree. The trunk is what everything else branches off of, and it represents, for me, the thesis statement of my paper. This is also what I work on first each and every time I write because it's your main idea, so everything else must stem from it. You have to have a sturdy thesis statement because just like if you have a weak trunk on a tree, the tree might fall over. You don't want your paper to have a weak thesis statement. Because then it won't have a sturdy foundation for everything else to build off of. The next part of the tree is the branches. The branches are seen by everyone, and so these represent the main points in my paper. Lots of times I have 4 main branches, and that's the beginning, like the introduction, 3 main points, and an ending. Of course, you can have as many branches as you want because I know there's lots of different writing styles, but throughout high school and stuff, that was kind of the main concepts that teachers wanted us to go by and kind of the main outline. But again, you have many different types of trees, just like you can have many different types of writing styles and many different types, like research papers versus stories versus everything. Then the next part of a tree is its roots. So the roots also come off of the trunk, which represents the thesis statement, but not many people see them, and some don't even know that they are there. So I consider the roots to be the rhetorical strategies that I use in my paper. They represent ethos, pathos, and logos aspects that I utilize in my writing. They affect people, but are not directly in sight. It's kind of like you have to read between the lines to find them, just like you would have to look in the dirt to find the roots of a tree. So even though they aren't necessarily visible or very clear from the very beginning, they're still important, just like the rhetorical strategy is in your paper. Next are the leaves. So leaves come off of the branches, and for me they represent like kind of the more specific ideas for each paragraph. So if each branch is a paragraph, the leaves are, say, the sentences or the ideas within that paragraph. Each set of leaves must be attached to its branch, and so even though they're individual points, they still need to have a similar representation, and they need to all link together because they are off of the same branch. To do this, you have to make sure each paragraph is understandable and each of the ideas are relevant to each other. So last but not least, I had wind. Because I thought wind is something that mostly affects a tree, and I decided that wind for me represents how the people that revise my paper work with my paper. They shape it and they form it. They might knock a few of the leaves off, maybe some points that are unneeded, or I need to add some points in because I left gaps throughout my work. Maybe they might even knock off a whole branch, who knows, but hopefully my tree or the paper will make it through the storm and still stay intact. So anyway, that's kind of how my writing style works. I start with the trunk, work on the branches, work on the roots, and do the leaves, and hopefully it withstands the wind and the storm. Anyway, thanks for listening.